Welcome back from the package this morning. And yes, we're still in the spirit of the independence celebration. And I know a lot of Nigerians are having the feel of it. Though a lot of Nigerians are reflective this moment, I do not blame them, because this is the only country that we have as a people. Now, to begin the discussion this morning, we need to start from what stares us at the face, I beg your pardon, which is the question Nigerians are often asking: the dividends of democracy being felt, being received all over. Now, democracy itself is just a group of people making the decision to choose leaders or representatives via elections that are free and fair. All right? And also, it is a guarantee for citizens' social, economic, political, and cultural rights. Wrapped within these democratic tenets is the final delivery of good governance. Now, good governance is what determines that citizens actually enjoy the dividends of democracy. Because if they do not have that, the topic we are going to discuss today may just be the resultant effect. This morning we have a guest who is a friend to the house. We usually call him when we need statistics, when we need facts, when we need numbers, and he never disappoints. We have our guest today, Mr. Olorunfemi Oladayo Samson. Is a social and political analyst, trained journalist. He is a former media aide to a lawmaker, is an educationist, as well as a public relations manager. It's so nice to have you on Daybreak Africa this morning.
Ezekiel, happy independence.
Welcome on the show.
It's so nice to see you. It's so nice to see you this morning.
Thanks once again for having me.
Yeah, so we're taking a look at 64th independence, effects of economic sabotage on democracy in Nigeria. There you have it. I know my intro basically expressed the way I feel about the topic when I actually saw the topic, and this is where you come in. We cannot move forward without taking a look at our past. A lot of people joke about it and think that they can circumvent it. That is maybe a trick from the heart, or a hat trick, if I should rephrase, that will make you, chart a path for the future without taking a look at the past to ensuring you do not make the same mistakes. All right, Nigeria is 64 years old. Before we go any further, I want you to take us on your feeling about where we're coming from and where we're at right now before we delve into the issues at hand.
Well, anyway, once again, thanks for having me. Once again, happy independence, my fellow Nigerians. Nigeria, in retrospect, where we are coming from, where we are now, and the projection ahead, where we are going. 64 years down the line, and it is not a joke, especially in our political and economic history since 1960 that we got our independence. We need to look back what necessitated this particular independence, that our founding fathers gathered themselves together and said, oh, let us free ourselves from these people. We can stand alone, we have the resources, we have the wherewithal, we have those who are highly educated that can manage the resources of this particular place. So let us stand on our own and continue to manage the affairs of our people. It is okay the way these British have been managing our affairs. Let us sit together, and they came together in unity. Unity is key here and there, because when you look at our founding fathers, all of them are not from the same geopolitical zones. One is from Yoruba land, Hausa land, Igbo land, so on and so forth, and they came together in unity, in harmony, that we need to fight for the sovereignty of Nigeria. And that actualization came to be October 1st, 1960, to be precise. And since then, we can't be talking about 64 years down the line without talking about the ups and downs that we encountered during the process that led us to where we are today. Could be talking about military junta, can be talking about the civil war that happened 3 years under Gowon from 1967 to 1970, and after the civil war, Gowon talks about national integration. Let us come together. We've divided. Civil war has divided us. How are we coming together? Now the EU of NYC came on board in such a way that we need to come together as a nation. And in the early process of 1967 to 1970 civil war, we saw another military junta again. But before that, we've had what we call a regional government that people are referring to as the best system of government we've ever had in the history of Nigeria since 1960. You know, regional government where each region manage their resources in such a way that we're like, okay, at the western region, we're able to manage our resources. Eastern region, northern region, they were able to manage your resources. But the EU of 1966 coup, in fact, I can say 1966 coup led us to where we are today at here in Nigeria, because after that coup in 1966 by Gowon, in fact, we've been strongly to get the structure, to get the system back to normal in such a way that things will be moving the way they're supposed to be moving, and things will be moving in line with the vision and the mission of our founding fathers when they were talking about it is time for us now to have our independence. So since then, we've been battling with a lot of things, but we tried in 1979 to get things back when we moved into the Second Republic, when we had an election in 1979, and Shagari was declared the winner of that particular election, though we had it for 4 years. And when you compare that particular 4 years under Shagari, I think we recorded some achievement under Shagari's government. But what did we see? We saw some little corruption hardship. That was what even necessitated Buhari that came back under military junta again in 1984. Don't forget again, in 1983, we had another election. In 1983, when Shagari, the same Shagari that won 1979 election, won the same 1983 election.
But short-lived.
He beat Awolowo, he beat Ezekiel and others. But that particular 1983 election did not see more of light when Buhari and Diagban came in under military junta, you see now, on the basis of corruption, hardship, and so on and so forth. In fact, when you look at those who understand history, who knows history, they will tell you that under Shagari's government, there was this hardship in the land, this recession, economic crisis in the land, and so on and so forth. So when Buhari came in under military regime, people were like, well, maybe things will get normal, but what did you see? You and I understand that no matter what military will tell you, military is never the best option. So since then, from Buhari, Babangida came on board. From Babangida in 1983, after much agitation that want to go back to democratic setting, he set up and set up 1983 election that was adjudged to be the most fairest, freest, transparent, and credible election ever conducted in the history of Nigeria. At the end of the day, what did you see? We saw that particular election annulled, and again they put Nationhood as an interim government in such a way that, okay, come and stabilize the process in such a way that we have another election again. At the end of the day, we saw Abacha junta taking over from Nationhood. At the end of the day, he died in office. Absalama Abubakar came on board. People were like, no, another military, but he promised us a kind of a change. And in 1999, we saw a democratic setting coming on board. Don't forget that in 1979, it was Obasanjo. No, Obasanjo was the one that completed the tenure of that particular military tenure between him and Murtala Muhammad, when Murtala Muhammad was assassinated. So in 1979, it was Obasanjo who handed over power to Shagari. And 30 years later, 1999, the same Obasanjo came back to power to become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And since 1999, we've been thinking that maybe we will get the process right. But hey, the answer to this is that since then we've been struggling to get the process right and to restore the glory of Nigeria to the days of 60s, 70s, 80s, and early 90s. So it is true that we are growing, but we are not developing. Well, we must understand the context between the two, when you are growing and when you are developing. Are we growing? Arguably, yes, we are growing 64 years of age. You are not a baby. In fact, if you happen to be a man or a woman, you'll be expecting to have to be seeing your grandchildren playing around
great
you.
Grandchildren.
You understand, great grandchildren playing around you. But when it comes to the, development, are we developing in terms of economy? Where are we today in terms of economy? Where are we today in terms of infrastructural development? Where are we today in terms of human capital development? Where are we today in terms of attracting both local and foreign investors? Where are we today in a kind of good leadership process? And I think all these indices are there to show that we are still far from where we're supposed to be. And that is why Nigerians are telling you that, why are we even celebrating? Because I've seen some people say that I don't need to celebrate 64 years. There's nothing tangible we can point to, or we can allude to, or we can associate ourselves with that. No, we are making progress. These are, in fact, to crown it all anew, I listened to Mr. President. That broadcast was all 23 minutes, and the first speech of Mr. President that day was like, we are feeling your pains. Even though I quite disagree with the speech writer of that particular broadcast, because they made a lot of mistakes. When you are writing for the president, you don't write as if the president is not feeling what Nigerians are going through. How will you put a speech from Mr. President to say, I know that you are passing through active? He's supposed to say, I know that we are passing through active. That's what's supposed to be in that particular speech. You understand? And when you read that particular or listen to a particular speech, it was just the EU trying to console Nigerians. Are we still in the state of consoling ourselves? After 64 years, when are we going to sit and start reflecting
Sam,
on gains and achievements?
Sam, I would like you to really explain the relationship between economic growth and democratic stability in Nigeria. But before you go further, yes, there was something you said when you started your words. You made mention of the need for regional, or you say people actually clamoring for a regional system of governance. I tend to wonder, considering how time has changed, how things has evolved from that time to this time till this time, do you think regional system would be our answer? Considering how this world has changed currently.
It depends on the context when you're talking about regional government. But if people are referring to what we had between 1963 and 1966, that will not possible again. Where we have Western region, Eastern region, and Northern region. How many states did we have then compared to having 36 states now? If people are saying that we should go to that kind of region, where will South belong to at this particular time? Will they belong to Southeast? Will they belong to Southwest?
Someone mentioned geopolitical zone. That the sixth geopolitical zone can take the place of the Midwest, the South. You know what we had in the past. Then the sixth geopolitical zone is well placed to actually run a regional system.
No, I mean, when you're talking about having six geopolitical, true, we have what we call six geopolitical zone: the Southwest, the Southeast, the South, the North Central, the Northeast, and the North. How viable are these geopolitical zones? Out of the six, how many of them can we say they are really viable, that they can stand on their own? We prefer respect to people from the North Central. You say now, can we say that North Central, can we say they can stand on their own without aligning with the Northeast or Northwest? Can we say Southeast can stand on their own now without aligning with the South and Southwest? So what I'm saying in essence is that it is true that people are like, okay, let's have what we call six geopolitical zones, that is called a regional. We have a regional government in such a way that middle belt. No, they keep referring to them as middle belt, but we know that they belong to North Central. Okay, North Central zone, Northeast zone, Northwest zone. We've gone beyond that structure and area. That is all. But
you yourself said that.
But in a context, I think what we should be looking at is looking at how can we start controlling our resources, and this has been at the pipeline. It was a pipeline in 2014 conference that, okay, let's do what we call a devolution of power in such a way that each governor, their state, you have power over the mineral resources deposited in your state, rather than saying that we should go back to regional government. See, when you go back to regional government, I don't see any federal government that will allow us now to go back to regional government. Let me give a typical example. Between that 1963 to 1966, what we had there was that each region, whatever you were able to get, maybe as your IGR, there's a little percentage they deposited them at the federal. the larger percentage gain were used
to develop
their own region. But you think if any further system now we sit now that we allow Southwest now to gather the resources and bring it to, and they don't forget
you're confusing me. You know, you're confusing me. You spoke about regionalism.
Yes.
How viable, economically for Nigerians.
Yes.
Then you're not talking about devolution of power.
Yes.
You actually made us understand how good regionalism was for Nigeria in the past.
Yes.
Noted. Then again, you now said that wouldn't work for now, even with the 6 geopolitical zones.
Yes.
Then you said something else.
Yes.
That what you advocate for is devolution of power.
Yes.
Now regionalism is a situation whereby each state, grow and develop on their own pace, look inward rather than outward to create possibilities for the people and the country generally. Now you're talking about devolution of power, which also states that the wealth of the state belongs 90% to the state, while just 10% is given, to the federal.
Yes.
You actually now also told us that you do not think regionalism will work for this system.
Yes.
Following the Nigerian system and where what oil has done to Nigeria, who do you think, we're talking about people who are holding on to power with their fist, their leg, and 20th generation yet unborn will let go of the resources, which is, look, let's not beat around the bush, which is the oil. Oil.
Yes.
And you know the region where the oil comes from.
Yes.
You know the people who benefit less for where the oil comes from.
Yes.
We all know what goes on in the local bureau. We all know what goes on in this. Somebody died because of this. What's his name? We know the devastation where oil is being gotten from. The people have no representation whatsoever.
Yes.
So do you think that the people in power, the cabals we'll talk about, will let go of this and just give the states back to where the oil comes from and tell them take 90% and give 10% to the middle?
Now, let me clear the first question that you said. Maybe I'm convinced you about regional government and devolution of power. Regional government is talking about when you have a prime minister controlling a region. You say now, if we are to have a regional government in the whole southwestern region, we are going to have a prime minister who will be controlling the 6 states and the southwestern region. But when we devolve power, it means that each state governors will still be at their state, controlling their resources of their state, but there will never be anybody that will control the affairs of the southwestern region.
And you think this will work?
That's why I'm saying that those who are saying that we should go back to regional government, I don't see the possibility of going back. And that is why some governors are pushing that can we go back and amend the constitution. Don't forget that they are trying to push now to amend the constitution of 214 that talks about this issue of decentralization of Nigerian policing structure. That's part of the regional government they're talking about. No, they've been on it. The issue of state policing. What do you think that? Why do you think some governors are agitating for state policing? That it is high time we start controlling our policing. It should stop being controlled by the federal system. Let state governors have the power. Now, let me shock you. Have you forgotten that when Buhari was leaving office, and now I'm happy that President Bola Tinubu assented to that particular bill in such a way that giving power to state governors to start now generating their own electricity is no more under the exclusive list, is now under the concurrent list, the issue of power. That is what we are talking about. That if people are having the mindset that the regional government they are talking about, that the one that we saw, whereby we have Awolowo as a prime minister, whereby we have Tafawa Balewa, we have Zik, that structure can never work again in this system. We've gone and we've passed beyond that structure. It can't work again. But the way we can go about that, and that's what I'm explaining here, is talking about devolution of power. And we have been seeing that. We've seen that in the area of electricity power. It is only governor who is lazy now will not be able to look inward and start generating power for his people. Like you rightly mentioned, don't forget that the issue of that now is being in Supreme Court. I don't know when former governor of Rivers State, now the city minister, took federal government to court on the issue of VAT collection. That you can't be collecting my VAT, huge amount of money. At the end of the day, the sharing formula, those who are not generating huge amount of money to the federal government coffers will not be one enjoying the large jump of that particular VAT. It took federal government to court, was joined by governor of Lagos State, by governor of Ekiti State. Our late governor Loto Aketi joined that particular suit that let's withdraw VAT collection from federal government. Let it be the responsibility of we state after collecting our VAT. Then we can sit, share whatever you want to share, deposit a little amount to the federal system, federal government continue running that particular thing. So that is what I'm talking about. And that is where those governors now are looking at. People are talking about, if we really want development to come, there must be a devolution of power in such a way that at least governors will have some little power now in controlling their resources, that will make the central less attractive, because it's like all these problems now, they are on the shoulder of the federal government. And it's like all these problems are even sinking the neck of the federal government in such a way that federal government are not even doing more as expected by Nigerians. So that's why I'm saying that talking about regional government, it is subject to a debate. Let's debate is, how do we want this regional government to look like? And when I'm talking about regional government, maybe we are talking about a presidential system of government in such a way that, okay, you parliamentary system of government in such a way that you will go there, you will sit there, then central will be less attractive in such a way that nobody will be rushing to central again. If anything should happen now, you see governors now rush to the center to go and beg Mr. President for relief and so on and so forth.
Nigeria is 64 years old already. If you rightly said that if a man or woman is 64 years old,
yes,
you're talking about great-grandchildren running around. Before my mom was 60 years old, she was already a grandmother. Before she was 60, she was already a grandmother. So Nigeria is 64 years old, and that is a lot of responsibility.
Exactly.
We're talking about, yes, we're talking about real responsibility. Ezekiel has started with regionalism. We're talking democracy. We are talking parliamentary system of government. We're looking for a system that works not just for Nigerians, but please, the world has evolved. We have people attached to us, the international community attached to us. We're looking for a system that works at this time. We're reflecting. And I know Ezekiel has questions to ask, but that is our direction this morning.
Now, Sam, I wanted us to go to the next question, but maybe not just yet. I think we have a lot still unsettled here on the issue of regional system of governance. You did mention the fact where certain factors and indices ought to be put in place or probably replaced so as for this system particularly to work. Initially, you sounded very confident. It's more like the best way to go. But at some point, you were not exactly confident
confusing us
anymore. No, I'm coming down. I'm heading somewhere. I'm heading somewhere. I'm just trying not to interrupt you, but I know she couldn't just hold it anymore. She just had to jump down at some point and be like, no. At this point, but I'm trying to be a gentleman at this point. And so when at some point you were like, you're being shaky if it will work or not. But you did mention the fact where you believe some things ought to change. Now, before I go to my next question, what basic thing do you think should be changed or should be tweaked just a little bit in order for that system to actually work?
Let's take a short break because, as you can see, I am above myself. I need my tea right now. When we return, Sam will still be here and will give us the answer to that question that Ezekiel asked. When we return, the conversation will continue. Stay with us.
Welcome back. It's still Daybreak Africa, and that was the Good Start segment of Daybreak Africa, and now it's the second half of the discuss proper. So, Sam, we're talking about a regional system of government. Allow me to buttress just one more time. It's more like at some point asking a 64-year-old man, what do you want to be in life? Do you want to be an accountant? At 64, do you want to be a teacher?
When Nigeria is not Abraham.
Exactly.
At 70 years.
At 64, you're asking a 64-year-old man, do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to be a pilot? And the man is like, Maybe I like farming. Maybe I should try at 64.
Right.
Maybe I should try being a musician and see if it will work for me.
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
No, it's not even certain.
No, not certain. Not certain. Maybe I could try being a musician or a journalist at some point. And if it doesn't work, I would then change into something else at 64. Sam, at 64, we are not sure what system should work for us. Currently, we are not really confident in our parliamentary system of government. We are not confident in our own constitution.
That we should jettison the constitution.
We feel the constitution is more like our problem. It's giving us the problem and not even the solution.
Yeah.
Some are only for more states.
Exactly. So we are at the point where at 64 years old, we are not sure of anything at all, not even one. Forgive me, Nigerian, but I'm not sure we are sure of even one thing.
That's my sentiment also.
Well,
I'm coming, sir.
All right.
So at 64, I'm trying to ask you now. You believe initially there is need to go back to our original system of governance. At some point, you believe, no, maybe this old man needs some tweaking. He's not very good. So maybe we could actually remove something, probably shave his hair, dye it black in order for him to actually follow his vision. So the question is, what do we have to tweak in order for that regional system, if you believe is the best for us? What do we have to change?
See,
to make it work?
Ezekiel, my statement initially, I said the best form of system is regional government, and I said further that we've gone ahead that structure. We can't go back to that particular structure again. And I made mention of devolution of power. When we were talking about devolution of power, don't forget that we saw it during the establishment of Amateku. You know that, okay, let's have our own security outfit that will protect our area, that will protect our land. Now, again, I'm coming to your question. In a build-up to 2023 general election, don't forget that the southern governors, they met under our late former governor. They met that power should shift down to the southern region. That is what I'm talking about. That it is high time we can sit and discuss and have a way forward. This is how we want it to be, and we negotiate our way out. Let's have it this way. Now, I like the question you asked that at 64. It's like you are asking someone, what do you want to become? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Ezekiel, let me start with this proverb that when there is life, there is CO. Let me start with that.
Can you say it in Yoruba?
When there
Please say it in Yoruba. No, let me say it in Yoruba. Say it in Yoruba.
Tell me about Ireti Shiwa.
She said we are not Nigeria at 64, but we are not Abraham. Sorry, at 64. But even at 64, Abraham already had where he was headed for.
But Ezekiel,
he became a billionaire at 70.
But Ezekiel, I
finally made it.
He had a direction at least in life.
Ezekiel, but I think it would be wrong for you to be asking someone of 64 years old what do you want to become. That would be wrong, because that question also have been asked years back that this is what I want to become, and at 64 you're supposed to have been actualizing that particular thing. This, because that years back I said this is what I want and this and that, then 64 years you are now actualizing, or you are building on what you projected years back that you want to become, and so on and so forth. So I agree with you that we have a lot of issues. Now people are talking about this 1999 constitution. No, we've been on it. That is this constitution working or not working? And people were like, this 1999 constitution was drafted by military people that said, we Nigeria, that we did not sit anywhere. No constituent assembly sat anywhere to design this particular constitution. No, people are talking, let's throw away this constitution. People are talking about true federalism. Can we have true federalism? It's like we are having more problems every day, and it's like we don't even know the direction where we are heading to as far as this Nigeria is concerned. But hey, let me tell you, Ezekiel, when Bola Tinubu was coming last year, his speech at the Eagle Square, he made mention that at least we should sit and get things back to normal in such a way that will reflect the dreams, aspirations, and the visions of our foreign neighbor. It is true that we have a lot of problems in our, in fact, people are talking about this issue of insecurity now. The issue of insecurity is there, the economy is there, the infrastructure deficit is there, bad human capital development is there. How can we attract more investors to Nigeria to develop our countries there? So it's like we have a lot of EU, and when you see, in fact, it got to a point some people are talking about breaking away, that they don't even believe in the system again, that they want to break away, that it's like they've been marginalized. So there was a point where where some section of the country were talking about being marginalized, where some was talking, in fact, there was a time there when a person, Sunday Igboho, in the southwest was talking about that it is high time we Yoruba nation. Some people were calling for Yoruba nation, some people were calling for Biafra nation, Arewa were even calling for their whole nation as a point. So it's like the more we look now to the system, the less we even understand where we are going. Although all of us can even talk where we were coming from, the vision of the fathers there, that let's come together as one indivisible nation so that we can move, we can progress, and we can have a very strong nation that will stand with the committee of nations in the whole world. But along the line, we got it thrown in the heel of the leadership recruitment process. That is why we got the whole process wrong today, Ezekiel. That people don't even believe in the leadership structure again in Nigerian system in such a way that we believe that by the time you have some people in place, they tend to do something that will please them rather than doing something that will please the majority of Nigerians, and that's where the problem lies today. So that's why you see some people coming with their different ideas. This is the best way to go. There was a time when some people gathered themselves, they call themselves patriots, when they visited Mr. President that it is high time we have they call it people constitution. I don't understand how that people constitution will look like in such a way that, okay, let us have people constitution. And when we're talking about people's constitution, does it mean that what we have in the present constitution will not be there? So, and again, we must accept that there's no nation without their own little challenges. But what we are talking about, how can we fix us here in this country, that we address our immediate need? And that's what people are saying.
Talking about fixing us.
Needs.
Exactly. My next question was actually to understand the relationship between economic growth and democratic stability. In your statement, you did mention, you question our federalism. You say you're not sure if you actually practice true federalism.
Yes.
We had a guest the other day that actually questioned our democracy. He said we practice a unique form of democracy, not the democracy we know of, not the one we understand.
Not the one
taught in classes.
Not the one the British left with us, not the one we copied from the United States, but our own democracy. We took it to suit us.
So our federalism is questioned, our democracy is questioned,
the constitution is questioned, the leadership process is being under
everything. INEC is questioned. Everything is questioned. Citizens are questioned. Now, point is, what then is the relationship between economic growth, democratic stability, and what has been our major issue since everything we ever stood for or stand for has been questionable?
The general belief is that when you have, in the whole world, is either you're under democratic system or military system, apart from UK, that is party's monarchy, isn't it? Apart from UK and also other countries that are practicing monarchy system. But the two one that is highly noticeable everywhere is either you are under military settings or under civilian settings. And on the issue of economic growth, we believe that when you have a system that is under democratic settings, there's tendency that the economy will grow because we are running a government by the people, for the people, and government that tends to carry people along in their project, in their programs, project, intervention, and so on and so forth. And don't forget that, like I said it, that since 1999, since we've been running this democracy, we'll be talking about how can we project our economy, how can we have a economic growth under democratic setting, because this is not a military setting. In a military setting, Ezekiel, nothing even like budget, nothing even like they have a program and project. Not today now, if you want to contest for anything now, at least it's better on you to have your manifesto, what you tend to do to develop your people, to develop your area, and to move your people in mass, whether in terms of infrastructure, in terms of employment, human capital development, macro and micro economy, and so on and so forth. So we believe that under democratic setting, there must be at least a kind of economic growth that was supposed to be seen and to associate with a democratic system of government. But if you ask many Nigerians, Ezekiel, they will tell you that it's like we are not even seeing the growth that we're supposed to be seeing, because what is the economy is talking about now? 64 years down the line, you know what naira to dollar is talking about. You know the hardship in the land now, that only few Nigerians now can even survive the way they want to survive.
This is the point where we talk about economic sabotage and its effect on democracy in the country. We practice democracy, right?
Yes.
Presidential system of government.
Yes.
Despite the confusion, let us take a look at how economic sabotage has affected democracy and by reflection, the Nigerian people. We're talking about economic growth. You said something about growing and developing.
Yes.
You made an analogy between growing, that there's a difference between growing and development.
Yes.
Now let us take a look at how much economic sabotage has stagnated this nation, how much it has robbed Nigerians of the dividends of democracy, how much it may even the effect it may have for the future that we so much seek as a people.
And it is still there today. Corruption, and corruption. It's still there today since 1999. Excuse me, even before 1999. This issue of corruption, economic sabotage is there, and that is why the issue of infrastructural deficit is still staring at us today. Infrastructural deficit today. You go to places, you see, is it the way they're supposed to be? Is this the way we're supposed to be doing things? They are still there today. We are still talking about huge embezzlement of money. When the current EFCC chairman, when he came on board, it was like, or getting to his office, and the corruption cases or files he met on his table, and he said the first thing he said that despite all this, Nigeria is still standing. So it shows the huge corruption in the system that we have today, and that is why you see that by the time some people, in fact recently we heard from the former governor of Kaduna State that said they can use Quran to swear that did not that did not sabotage the Kaduna State resources when he was in office. So these are the things we are saying, that all these things, the economic sabotage is it has crippled our development to -0, and that is why people are looking for ways to leave the shore of the country, to move to other countries, to to seek for greener pasture, because it's like they've seen the economy as this thing cannot rise again. They've seen the economy that this economy, in fact, if care is not taken, is capable of somersaulting. Don't forget that there was a time that Nigeria went into recession under Muhammadu Buhari, and today now we are struggling to get our economy back on feet. And again, it takes us back to the issue of leadership recruitment process. Those leaders we've had in the helms of affairs in the past, the one we are having now, how are they managing our economy? Are they using the economy the way they're supposed to use? Is it not that some few people will sit somewhere and amongst the wealth into their pocket, not care whether some people are dying of hunger on the street? And that was why when Mr. President removed the fuel subsidy, he said they are removing the corruption behind or embedded in fuel subsidy. So that is where we find ourselves today in Nigeria.
That's just one sector. Now, political corruption, I have something that I said I was going to share with the viewer. It violates democratic principles and procedures. Economic and financial crimes, political elites are part of the system, according to research. The political elites are part of the problem. History of elections in Nigeria is filled with stories of vote buying and rigging, and of course post-election adjudication, which a lot of Nigerians just wait for. But there is a call now that the right things should be done. If despite the fact that they go to court because they rig and believe, if you say I rig or didn't rig, we'll go to court.
That's in fact that's the language now.
You go to court.
If both of us will contest an election after the day, I will tell you I need to go to court.
Go to court.
The process in court. And I made mention of that our recruitment process, our electionary process.
Yes.
How far have we gone in this year of our election being transparent? At the end of the day, our election be acceptable, maybe especially by the loser. Can we conduct election in Nigeria in such a way that the losers will accept that truly they did not win the election?
Sam, tell me, political corruption, how much has this been look, how deep has political corruption taken Nigeria into the abyss of confusion and decadence that we experience in this nation?
In every election cycle, we see it there clear without being told that this issue of political problem is taking us far beyond where we're supposed to be. Like a 5-step forward, 10 steps backward, and it has contributed to issue of voter apathy in Nigeria. That people, how many people even believe in the system again? This INEC of it, how many people believe in our electoral system again? Look at the last presidential election. Up to today, the losers of that particular election did not even believe that they lose that particular election. They believe that they were rigged out of that particular process, that INEC tried to favor a particular party in power. They doesn't believe in the system again. The one we just had in Edo, there has been an issue now in Edo election that the result declared by INEC, the result doesn't tally.
INEC again was fingered.
That doesn't tally with what we have on IREF. So this is where we find ourselves today in this country, and we try to correct this problem when we say, okay, when we amended the constitution, that okay, let's allow judiciary to come in, because before we normally see this issue of violence after election, killing each other, burning houses, and all that. Okay, can we allow judiciary to come in so that maybe after election, then post-election litigation will be resolved at the court? So that's why. The problem has been there for years, and we try to say, okay, let's sit together, and that was what led to 2014 confab. That okay, can we have a national conference whereby we call everybody, let's sit again. What are the things that we need to put in place to get all things done right so that we can move forward? At the end of the day, we had conference, report was submitted, that report did not see the light of today. Now president is talking about another conference, although youth conference now, that let's bring you together now, let's come and discuss again. So it goes beyond. During Obasanjo, we had conference. In fact, we did not see the report of that particular conference. We had another one under Jonathan, we did not see anything. Now they are planning now to have another one, although under the umbrella of Nigerian youth coming together now, so that we can champion and we can have a cause forward. So people don't even believe in the system again, whether in the economic system, whether in the political system, whether in any system you want to make mission, whether in the financial system again, people don't even believe again that what is going on. Can we continue? We can't continue like this. It is high time for us now, for everybody to sit and let fashion the way forward, so that every year we are discussing independence, democracy. It will be a recurring decimal that just let us go and celebrate and discuss and move for our further ahead. So especially in our political terrain, and that is where are the most key area that people are talking about until we get it right. In that particular aspect, other things will just be crumbled and crawling and be asking for mercy. So when we get it right under our political setting, such a way that in electing who will become our leaders, in going out to say, okay, this is the person that we want to become this, to become that, then even the electoral process will be free and fair. It's like we are just going to post now. Majority of people doesn't even believe in the system. That okay, let them come, conduct the election, and let's see the outcome of the election. And it has come to a point in Nigeria whereby when you conduct an election, if opposition should win, then people believe that that process free, fair, and transparent. But when the ruling party wins, they believe that that particular election has been manipulated.
We have talked about economic sabotage for a very long time, and you did mention corruption. And we can't talk about corruption without mentioning our anti-corruption agencies in Nigeria, which I hope is not questionable, because we almost tagged everything questionable already.
We hope.
Let's talk about the effectiveness of our anti-corruption agencies.
Well, don't forget that when Obasanjo was coming, when Obasanjo was around 1999, he tried to set up EFCC, making the current national security advisor Nonu Ribari to be the pioneer chairman of EFCC. Let's fight corruption to stand still so that there will be progress in the land. At the end of the day, they did not allow Ribadu to finish that particular tenure as EFCC chairman. We were told that Ribadu has been sent on a compulsory study in Plateau State. Ribadu did not come back. Waziri took over, the first female EFCC chair, took over. One thing or the other, she did not finish that particular tenure. After Waziri, Lamode, now late, took over from Waziri. We were told corruption cases against him, person supposed to be washing, now becomes someone being washed. He did not finish. Lamode was removed from office. Magu, in fact, did not even confirm that one now. You understand? Magu was happens to be an acting chairman FCC. They did not confirm me. At the end of the day, it was during the broad daylight. that Magun was accosted in Abuja. A committee was set up by Malami, former AGM, on the heel of corruption cases that he bought out in Dubai. At the end of the day, we don't know the end of that story. They brought Bawa, who happens to be the youngest chairman of EFCC, who did not even have a kind of military background. He was there. People were like, though we have a very young blood in the system. When Bawa came on board, Bawa was running like a lion that he wanted to devour everybody. At the end of the day, it was whether it was pushed, whether it was ousted, whether it was forced, whether it was harassed, we do not know what happened to Bawa.
He was humbled.
We don't know what happened to Taylor. Now we have a man here now. What happens to be the first Yoruba man to become the EFCC chair? He has been struggling now to capture lion. for
not just any lion.
For some days now,
white lion is very hard to catch.
For some days now, we don't know what is going on. So it's like the system is being controlled by some sort of people, Ezekiel, and not until we take that system. Not when that Buhari said when it was coming that if we don't fight corruption, or we don't kill corruption
will kill us.
Corruption will kill us. So it's like the more we try to fight corruption, Ezekiel, the more we see corruption fighting back. We're in this country, when some minister came in with a branded airline, that this is our new airline, Nigeria airline. He left office, we discovered that he smuggled that airline to Nigeria to come and cajole us. We know him to come and cajole us in this country. So
and we never heard anything again about that issue.
That's the end. That's Nigeria for you, Ezekiel. So it's like the more we try to fight corruption, the more some cabals are fighting back the issue of this corruption in Nigeria. So we believe that one day, and they'll be saying that if you want to appoint some key parastatals, and that's why the process is coming out, there are some heads of parastatals that president should not start appointing, like EFCC chairman. We should take it out of the
like INEC chairman,
like Inspector General of Police, who becomes
how should they be appointed?
Who become the EFCC chair.
How should they be appointed?
All these offices the appointment should be taken out. In fact, CJN, although we know that it is Nigeria Judicial Council that nominates, but we know that based on the confirmation of Mr. President, you can become the CJN, and nobody can tell me that president doesn't have influence on who becomes the next CJN. So all these things we need to restructure, Ezekiel. If you want an electoral process that is fair, don't appoint the EFCC chair. When you appoint EFCC chair, in fact, people believe that he who pays the purpose will be at the end of the day. You understand? So that is the belief and the mindset. In fact, the IG, I was here when I was like, if you have EU with IG, the next thing that will come to your mind is Mr. President that is using IG against you. Even if IG is working based on information at his disposal, we believe that maybe President is using IG against you.
No, because we don't have time. We've been told to round up. But some years ago, I did a project called Nigeria the Giant on Dwarf Legs. I did a documentary, Nigeria the Giant on Dwarf Legs. Now, you've talked about certain people running this nation. We're talking about over 200 million. We don't even know the number that we are in the nation.
Exactly.
Now, are you saying that there are certain people that are greater than this nation, this country, Nigeria, the greatest black nation in the world, the most populous black nation in Africa, the 7th biggest nation in the world, with all the resources that we have, not seen anywhere where the sun shines? Are you saying a group of people will continuously, forever, hold us in ransom as we round up?
When Lai Mohammed was there from some information, he said they want to publish some sponsors of Boko Haram in Nigeria.
Up to today.
When the president talks about the cabals who are feeding on our subsidy payment, up to today, we did not know them. So it's like some people are somewhere near it that are controlling the system. In fact, good. When Buhari was there, Aisha Buhari came out to say that even majority of people who were working with his husband then, that his husband did not even know them, that they were given to him by some set of people. This is the person you are going to appoint. This is the person you are going to appoint. This is the person you are going to appoint. She raised that noise then, but people did not take it serious. That what is going on? That a sitting president, we don't even know those working with him. That some people somewhere start somewhere who nominated these people to be working with president. People did not even talk then. So it's like we have some people somewhere and they keep calling them cabals. All these cabals, they are mighty. We saw their handwriting recently when this man with the refineries said, come and buy the refineries. In fact, it's like this wahala is too much. We saw their handwriting recently. You understand? So until we're able to deal with these people, moving forward, becoming a nation of our own and becoming a giant of Africa with giant legs may not see the light of today.
Well, we want to thank you so much for honoring our invite once again today on Daybreak Africa. As we take a look at 64th Independence, effects of economic sabotage on democracy in Nigeria. Our guest, Mr. Sam Olonfemi, is a social and political analyst. Sam, we appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
I enjoyed today's package despite the discussion.
I sure did enjoy today's package. So you do have a wonderful day ahead. I am Ezekiel Ogar.
I am Annie Benitier. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Yes, there is news on your device, but hearing an analyst's perspective is the icing on the cake that Daybreak Africa provides. Start your day with prompt analysis of the latest news, trends,
exactly, and then you see these people, they are so agile, they can do a lot of
politics.
We have to go back to that regional system. That is the foundation of this country, for God's sake.
Entertainment, fashion, culinary skills.
So first I'm going to be pouring the oil inside the pot and I will...
religious and cultural events amongst others on Daybreak Africa.
For a rich mix of analysis on current issues, tune in daily from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on channel 480 and 124 on Startimes.